Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. This is our regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting on September 14th, 2022. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order and establish a quorum.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nachbar.
Yes.
All right. I'd like to notify the audience that's here with us this evening that open session will be videoed and streamed, so available to watch later. And may I please receive a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nachbar.
Yes.
And Jack, would you have the pleasure of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. So this evening, we'll move along to agenda item E. These are student representative ACT, CSEA comments, Board of Education, and this evening, in Dr. Knight's absence, we have our Deputy Superintendent Sharon Ofek sitting in. So we will all begin our routine status reports regarding campus activities, meetings, conferences, any meetings attended, and any recent developments. We'll go ahead and start this evening's roundtable with our student representative, Jack.
We have some big community events coming up. At the high school, there's a lot of excitement about the upcoming homecoming parade, game, and dance this weekend. Leading up to the big game, we have had a spirit week at Carmel High School. There's going to be a rally on Friday, and make sure you come out and see the parade. At Tularcitos, the fun and very popular Fall Festival, with all the excitement of its carnival atmosphere, is happening on the 30th. And tomorrow, Cross Country will have their first meet on their new home course at Palo Corona. This is also fundraising time for many of the organizations that support the great opportunities in the district. I'd like to draw attention to some of the fundraising campaigns within the district right now. As you drove in today, you saw the signs for the middle school PTO's Cash for Cougars fundraising campaign. The Tularcitos PTO is having a Bucks for Bobcats fundraiser. River Elementary's PTA just completed its successful fundraising drive, and Padre Parents is in the midst of its donation drive this month for the high school. Music Boosters, which supports all the music programs, has been sending out flyers. And Focus, Friends of Carmel Unified Schools, whose grants support all the schools in the district, is having its first meeting for the 2022-2023 school year right now, here at the middle school in room C7 as we speak. Their meeting was originally scheduled to be in the library, but it conflicted with ours, so they had to move. And be sure to look for the Carmelo Parent Organization's Trichathon fundraiser coming up next month. We are very fortunate to have such generosity directed towards education. The students that benefit from these generous donations are especially thankful to the volunteers that have taken on the hard work involved in fundraising. The tremendous amount of energy and time they dedicate to organizing and maintaining these organizations contributes so much to the amazing opportunities we have available for us here as students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jack. Seabury?
I just have a couple things that I participated in. I did go to the Carmel High School back to school night, which was fabulous. It was a big event, a lot of effort put into that, and I was very eager to participate in both my kids' schedule, jumping back and forth. It was fun, and I just want to give a shout out to all the teachers that put on a really great opportunity for parents to learn more about what their kids do and what it's like to have to try to rush from one side of the campus to the other. And then also, I wanted to give a shout out to Carmel High School counselors. I met with Mr. Rogers last week, but the whole team is just great. They really help guide, especially seniors and the parents, and they put on some great workshops and training opportunities. And so I just wanted to say thank you for doing what you do and for making it this process of, trying to figure out and navigate college and university and next steps a little bit easier. So thank you to all the counselors.
Great, thank you. Carl?
Okay, well, we got homecoming coming up Saturday, and that's always a big one for the Padres. So I'm looking forward to that. And today Sarah and I had an opportunity to be at the Rotary lunch in honor of Larry Farrell, who is a gentleman, the Rotarian, that passed away and left them with quite a sizable amount of money. And so Carmel Rotary downtown has been a big contributor to the Carmel High School Scholarship Fund. So the news there is important because we've got a new guy up there in the auto shop and the shops. And I haven't met him yet, but from what I'm hearing, this guy is supposed to be pretty good. So the connection between the Rotary and Carmel High School Scholarship Fund is to try to improve those technical ed programs for kids and to have a much broader based offering for them, which quite frankly we have not been able to do effectively. We've been very heavily academically inclined over the years, which is a good thing. But then there's another whole skill set that we need to be working on with these kids. So I find that relationship blossoming for the first time really in a long time. So we'll see where that goes. And Anne Marie is our rep to that committee, and she can fill you in on more of the details as to how we got there. But anyway, that's it.
Thanks, Carl. Anne Marie?
Hi, everyone. I have got my notes in here, and I got a whole bunch that I wanted to go over. First of all, there was movie night at Tular. Rise of Gru was so exciting. All the kids were running around, having a great time getting together with all of their friends, like, oh my God, there you are. And you just try to grab your child or whatever it is as they were running by. Kashawa Center is up and running and having a great time. The kids are doing really well. There was about 15 kids up there the last night that I was up there, so that's always nice to see. Career Tech Ed meeting. It was in the wood shop, and the wood shop engineering drafting landscape architecture classroom that is all joined together over in Salinas High School. And it was, we had Gina Mortarella. I don't know if anybody knows that name from a long time ago. She started our Career Tech Ed with our Sports Med program and was actually the teacher for our current Sports Med teacher. So I got a chance to see her students in action over in Salinas High School, and that is, the program is growing tremendously. All of the classes are impacted throughout the whole entire Salinas Valley, all the way over here to the coast. We just have got access to a huge grant funding, so we're going to be building that program. It's not only important for those students who are looking for careers after high school right away, we're also looking at enriching those experiences for those students who are going to be going on to college, have their experiences, have some see it, touch it, smell it, feel it to it, and make it more real for them so they know what they're going to be experiencing, what they're going to be looking at. I'm giving them a little more focus. Hopefully they will be spending their money more wisely when they come in rather than going, I have no idea what I want to do when I go to college. So we're looking at giving them some options. I dropped in at Carmel High School after school just to see what was going on and seeing how everything flowed in and out. I got to drop in and see Gracie Ballesteri's group working and practicing on Midsummer Night's Dream. It looks so cute. The students are really working hard at it. I dropped in and saw Steve Russell was putting in all of the clay works that they had just worked on, and he was there after school. Cassie Hansen was doing sports med and was hanging out there wrapping and taping everybody and having the students work on that. And she was getting ready for field hockey, which was going to be from 5 to 7 was their slotted practice time. So football was there at the time, then it was going to be field hockey after that. And then I've been involved in equity training seminar. It's one of 4 sessions that I took, and it was very interesting. Brings a lot of thought-provoking, soul-searching, throwing out old ideas, and I tried to find something that would sum up what our job is, and I was having a hard time with it. They came up with something for us as a Board of Governors here. The key to effectively addressing educational equity gaps starts for a highly effective governance practices. So that's what we're at this level, is staying out of the weeds, trying to get at the 30,000-foot level, trying to plan for 5-10 years down the road and seeing what education looks like. But I didn't have something that I really, really wanted to sum it up with until I was reading this book, Anthony Bourdain's. It's by Tom Vitale. It's In the Weeds, which is #1 rule in governance. Do not get into the weeds. And here I was picking out a book in the weeds. And he came back with a comment that he had when he was in Iran. And Tom Vitale said that I was the proudest of the moment I was proudest of was challenging stereotypes while resisting the othering of other people, met by treating them with dignity, respect, and approaching a complex situation with an open mind. And I think that is sort of sums up what the equity training is to just reinvent how you're thinking and how you're looking at things. But I recommend In the Weeds for this week. So that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Anne Marie. Tess?
Yeah, so I've been making the rounds, and I started with the back-to-school night at Tularcitos, and one thing that Ryan said during his speech, which really resonated with me, is encouraging the parents to really take your moments with your family, because that time together is fleeting. Sit down together for dinner every night, put your phones away. So he just always has such encouraging messages. We got into every classroom, and they are well on their way. So that was a great thing to be a part of. Just recently, I went to CMS, and I wanted to highlight a couple of their new 6th grade cycle classes that I had not gotten to witness in person. But Jen, now Barnes, her last name used to be Casper. She got married recently. But after attending the CATA Leadership Conference, they started a cycle class on leadership that Liz Wells is teaching. And it's teaching the students how to be positive contributing citizens in class, on campus, and around our community. And they focus on kind of the character strong 8 traits, which are highlighting patience, kindness, honesty, respect, selflessness, forgiveness, humility, and commitment. And Liz Wells could not be a better person to be teaching this class. And then I walked into another offering for 6th grade cycle with Bryce Griffin, who's a new teacher here. And he's teaching robotics and engineering to 6th graders, giving them a taste of that, which will lead into what they offer at the high school. And he's also teaching 7th and 8th grade robotics and engineering. So I just wanted to highlight that we're bringing it down to the middle school division, which is wonderful. Thank you, Elisa. I got to visit Captain Cooper today, which is always a highlight. It took me a very long time to get there, but who can complain? I was watching a pot of whales while I was stuck in traffic for 30 minutes. And I got to see Jose finishing off a shortened version of a Frisbee golf course, which was amazing. And thank you to Jillian for pursuing that focus grant to have that done. And also Mr. Glazier and Mr. Whitford, I got to witness their PE class. And they've gotten rowing machines from Focus. They have Peloton bikes. So they are doing major circuit training.
which was incredible to witness as well. So I'm just so proud of our district and what we're able to do and how much we're supported by Focus as well. So that's it for me.
Thank you so much, all of you, for your comments and your updates. I will keep this short because we have a healthy agenda, and I also want to make sure that we have some time to hear from Sharon. I just want to echo what Jack said about the energy and the excitement around homecoming at the high school. I've been up there a few times in the last week or so, and I know everybody is very much looking forward to that on Friday, and then obviously the homecoming football game on Saturday. We're all very excited about that. And speaking of Carmel Rotary and homecoming, the connection between those two is the Carmel Rotary is volunteering their time and doing a chili cook-off at the bottom of Ocean after the parade. So I would encourage all of our students and all of our families to head down there and say hi and meet and greet some of our Carmel by the Sea Rotarians who you don't know or you may not know. And we did have a lovely time today, and it's amazing to hear from so many Carmel by the Sea Rotarians that are Carmel High graduates. It's really sweet to hear about when they graduated, what Carmel was like, and how proud they are to continue to be a part of this community. So it was a lovely event, and on behalf of Carl and myself, we thank you for having us. I also would like to acknowledge the Big Sur Marathon group. It is super exciting that the first cross-country meet is happening on the new track. So congratulations for the completion of that project. I know it was a bumpy road at times along the way. So I think all the students and our community members will really benefit from that trail. And we're all looking forward to hearing how that meet goes. I feel like I need to go to the Triathlon now that you've mentioned it, so I'm adding that to my calendar. Thank you. I have not been in the past, so I will be adding that. And last but not least, I am looking forward to next week joining Lisa Brazil from CSCA to do a tour and a walkthrough of Tularcitos. And I know I've said this before, and I would just like to say it again, that the partnership and the relationship that the Board of Education and the district office and our staff have with both ACT and CSCA is undeniably incredible. And again, I know I've said this, but I just feel like I have to reiterate that when you go to other districts or when you speak with other board members from other districts, the relationship is not like that elsewhere. We are so lucky to have the partnership and the camaraderie and the open lines of communications between ACT, CSCA, the board, and also our district office along with our staff. So I would just like to thank Bill and Bud and Lisa for everything that you continue to do to foster that good relationship. Thank you very much. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Sharon for a quick update. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sure. Why don't you go and then I'll call up ACT.
No problem.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Sarah. I just want to take this opportunity to thank the board, the staff, and the community for all of the warm welcome to Carmel Unified. I started July 1st, and it has been quite a busy couple of months filled with lots of opportunities to meet with people in our leadership team and our teachers, our students, and like I said, our staff from every division of our district, and visiting campuses, learning more about all of the amazing opportunities that are available to our students and what we provide for everyone to be able to pursue their passion and to I hope, love learning in our environments. So I have truly enjoyed seeing our talented and dedicated teachers in action, and I certainly look forward to spending much more time on campuses. And I'm excited and eager to continue building relationships and learning more about the community. And so that's my brief statement.
Thank you. And it's been great being able to work with you as well. So welcome again, but we're happy to have you. All right, so we will go to our association representatives. So Bill Schreier from ACT, if there's an update that you might have.
I'm told there's no buttons to press tonight, so I can't screw that up. Bill Schreier, President ACT. Carmel Rotary's been mentioned a couple of times. They've been incredibly generous to the mock trial program too. So very grateful for their support. Back to school night was amazing. Being back with parents in the classroom, I talked to several of my colleagues. It was overwhelming. I really felt good to be back, seeing parents face to face. And I feel like nothing I'm saying is original, because I was going to talk about a meeting that I attended last week with my counterparts at the other teachers associations. The MBTA president was there, the PGTA president was there, Monterey Bay Charter School, and we were just meeting and talking about things, and I sat there and thought, we have such a positive relationship, and I don't hear that, sad to say. And when I think about the things that we can accomplish because we cooperate as much as we do and we have the same interests, it feels really good, and it feels like anything is possible. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Bill. And Lisa Brazil from CSCA.
Hi, I'm Lisa, president of CACA, and I want to echo what everybody here has already said and we all know, and that is the cooperation between all of the different groups. We are in the middle of negotiations, and the labor rep for our region was there, and 2 of them have been participating in those negotiations. And the comment that I constantly hear from them is, we love coming here. You guys are great. Because there is this commitment on everybody's part to do everything we can for our students. And that doesn't matter if you're a teacher or a classified staff or an administrator, we're all here for student success. And that really comes out every day. And so thank you all for that, because you lead that. And I just want to give an example. There's a young woman sitting behind me, Claire, who works here at the middle school. And her commitment really shows, because there was a child who needed assistance today, and she jumped up, jumped in, helped take care of that child. And that's what classified staff do every single day for every single child. So thank you. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And thank you, Claire. All right, we will move along to agenda item F. This is public comment on non-agendized and all of our open session items. So we won't be returning to public comment as we move through the agenda. So this is where members of the public may address the board regarding items on the open session agenda or topics within the board's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda at this time. So if you are here for public comment, hopefully you have taken a ticket at the front, and we will go ahead and start with number 24.
Hi, everybody. My name is Fran. I'm here to reflect on a handful of consistent themes that I've been seeing from the recent 400-page environmental report. I don't know about you, but I am getting into the details. And given that this is a significant millions of dollars of investments, I expect and hope that the board is doing that and that they've printed out their own copy and they're highlighting the gaps. So first theme that I see on a consistent basis, broken promises from the superintendent. When he first arrived, he made a commitment for a stronger community engagement. Now, many of our requests are being sidelined to a legal process with little answers. In December 2021, he promised an intermediate fix to the light pollutions from the existing the pool lights. Now it's connected to the larger EIR status. He also promised parents a separate and honest assessment of implementing Late Start without the stadium lights. Certainly, the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District has been able to achieve Late Start without lights. So somehow this false narrative that we can't do it seems to be lost somewhere. Second theme, inaccurate data or inconsistent inputs into the EIR. So how many nights will the stadium lights actually be on? Is it 44 games? Because that's what it says on page 35. But wait, on page 100 to 103, it's more like 175 games. How many parking spaces do you guys actually have? In the first EIR, it was 201 spaces. Now, miraculously, you found about 75 additional parking spaces. So those are very, very minor points. Very, nothing to the fact that when we go in to put the feedback, it's really going to be about the vehicle's mile traveled. What are the inputs to that? The underestimated impacts on the biological resources, or the lack of transparency that you guys have included on the original environment settings. The fact that you guys have chronic parking and safety challenges on the high school that you currently face, and it's nowhere inexistent in that document. So, big mess, I would say, if you do this at night. Third theme, sins of the past are going to come to haunt you. So, CEQA processes, no signed notices of exemption, no fire 810 fire forms with a DSA, amazing steps that were skipped with the Performing Arts Center, the swimming pool, the batting cages on the baseball field. We're trying to see that you are hustling to clean up your house, but we're watching. Last theme, lack of leadership for vision and future planning. It's time to refresh the facility master plan. Stop overbuilding on a landlocked of 22 acres, take care of the future generations of this community, and move on to a 60-acre campus that has potential for growth. That's your responsibility, not for your kids now, but for the kids and the communities of the generation. That's what we expect from you guys.
Thank you for your comments. Number 25, please.
I have an armadillo joke, but I don't want to waste my time. Good evening. I'm John. At our last meeting, I made a comment about integrity, which I defined as how we behave when nobody's looking. That seemed to strike a nerve with a couple of folks that thought maybe I was impugning theirs. I was referring to the process of the Lights Project, which started with a rather stealthy scoping meeting back in May of 2021. Unfortunately, we keep discovering a growing list of broken promises and secretive methods in this and in previous projects, the more we slog through this 400-page EIR. But my comment was not to insult anyone personally, just to remind us all, because I think I know a thing or two about integrity. I served 26 years on active duty in the Army as an officer, and I led people of all types. I then spent the next 20 years at the Naval Postgraduate School teaching principles of leadership and governance of large public projects at the master's degree level. I truly love my troops and my students the way you do your students here in this district. Back when I was a brand new lieutenant, my first boss gave me his own boarding speech. He said, "You know, John, nobody's ever going to ask you for all of your integrity at once. They're only going to ask for a little bit at a time. So hang on to it, son, because you don't want to look over your shoulder someday and see a whole field of it behind you." He was cautioning me about ethical dilemmas I might someday face. It was good advice for my life journey. It isn't enough to think or to say we have integrity. Our actions will always speak louder than our words. And turn over some rocks, he said, because that's where the ugly things hide in organizations. And so all of you trustees as one body have got the responsibility to act above your individual interest and to consider seriously the interest of this community and those stakeholders most affected by the project. And you're going to be collectively and individually accountable for any misdeeds. Truthfully, a nighttime tragedy is the thing I worry about the most, because your beautiful, overgrown campus is really encroaching on your neighbors now, with our narrow, unlit streets designated in one of the EIR appendices as ample available parking. Thanks. Dr. Knight recently characterized my neighbors as a minority, but there are many who just haven't spoken up yet. And since when do we not listen to the voices of minorities? Can you really vote to damage anyone in the long term for the loosely justified desires of a majority in the short term? I would encourage you, as you do hopefully get into the weeds, the details. If anything looks a little strange to you, like a waiver or inapplicable or otherwise smells a little fishy, dig into it. I hope you can really examine and apply some critical thinking to this revised draft, because it's a mess, and it's on you to do that and to ask the questions. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Number 26, please.
I don't know how long you folks have lived here on the peninsula. Can you hear me?
Yes. I've lived here my entire life.
I have a grandson that just turned 29. When he was 27, his folks lived down in Apple Valley, and they were coming here for a job interview, and they couldn't get here because we were flooded. Carmel was an island. Highway 1 had been flooded, and the bridge going across to Big Sur had been floating down the river. So when I look at the ERR, this report, and it's saying that they're going to put in a 2-lane road from the old parking lot to the new parking lot, which is really the old tennis courts. I moved into my house, which is right across the street from the tennis courts, 10 years ago. I wasn't there 8 years ago, and the water's running down, washed out my parking area or under the trees, and I had to bring in decomposed granite to save my property from washing out and washing out my house. So if they're going to put in these new roads, the city of Carmel, which I moved from, has an ordinance that protects runoff water, and any new surfaces that are hard surfaces, roads, parking lots, they have to be made out of a permeable substance. And I'm thinking, please, if you're going to go ahead with this, make this permeable. The Carmel River does overflow. When I was here, when I was saying the flooding, I had a friend who lived in Mission Fields. Her house was flooded. I don't know if you were here at the time, but we have a problem with runoff water. And if you're going to put in 2 lanes of road that are coming down and going to impact that river and add to the flooding, I really think that has to be addressed in your research. And that's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Number 27, please.
Hello. I don't have a complaint or a concern. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Matt Glazer. I'm the president of the Captain Cooper PTA, and this is my first board meeting, so I'm interested to hear. There's clearly a lot going on politically to be addressed. So much is great going on at Captain Cooper, and I just learned from our school counselor about this redistricting, or however it's called, the trustee designation, and very interested in learning more and applying more, but I realize that's on the agenda, so I'm not going to address that now. But so much great is happening at Captain Cooper, and a reminder to everyone that Captain Cooper is one of the seeds that goes into the roots of the Carmel system. And I was really pleased to hear about just the positivity of the students and the impact on the student success and the focus on the students that you as the board and the broader district have. Because back to school night and we have a new soccer thing happening in conjunction with the YMCA. There's a lot of really great things happening at Cooper that will then feed, and they'll come here to the middle school and then eventually to the high school. But I'm excited to be a participant and to be here and then to speak on behalf of Big Sur and the representation that we have. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.
Thank you so much. We're happy to have you this evening. Number 28, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Justine Stock. I was here a month and a half ago with the New Cannon Theater Company. I'm the managing director, co-founder, marketing director, and a couple of other things. We're a small nonprofit theater company just starting out. And thanks to you all, we were able to launch our New Cannon baby at your facility. And that it was really just an incredible 10 performances that we had there. Also wanted to thank your staff, Jeff McGrath, and a couple of the students who helped behind the scenes. They really helped us breathe life into this performances. And now we are launched, and we have a new season that we'll be sharing in 2023. in the next couple for 2023 in the next couple months, but also wanted to share in the spirit of constructive and solution-oriented feedback, a letter with you all, and we hope to see you again in your summer months with another fabulous production. So I'd love to share this letter if I may. I have it physically printed, and I'll hand it off to you. Thank you so very much, really and truly. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So for the record, Michelle will print out your letter and give it to all the board members, so we'll all see it. Excellent. Okay, thank you. Number 29, please. Is anybody else here for public comment? We don't normally call people back for public comment. Sorry, I apologize. Great. You can send us all an email for sure, and there's also input cards in the front if you'd like to jot down the thought that you didn't mention to us. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your public comments this evening. Moving on to agenda item 2, this is our consent calendar, and this is where the Board of Education bundles a number of items and act upon them together in one motion through the use of this calendar. These consent agenda items are routine items deemed to be non-controversial for which board discussion is not anticipated and for which the superintendent recommends approval. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the vote unless any members of the Board of Education request specific items to be removed for additional discussion. So with that said, may I please receive a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I make a motion. We can do it in tandem. To approve the consent calendar.
I second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nockbar.
Yes.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we do have a healthy next section of the agenda. So this is agenda item 3. These will be all of our action, discussion, and information items. And during this section of the agenda, we will also have a few public hearings. So we'll start with agenda item 3A, and this is our presentation from Community Human Services. And to introduce the speaker and the presentation, I will pass it off to Tess.
Yes, John Stone is with us today, and he is the COO of Community Human Services. He was raised in Carmel Valley, went to Tular, Carmel Middle, and Carmel High School, graduated in 2008, and went to Sonoma State University. After college, he moved to PG and started working in healthcare as a counselor for a co-occurring disorder treatment facility for a few years before having the opportunity to work in his administrative capacity. So he's worked in many areas of community human services, program officer at mental health programs, program officer of substance use disorder programs, senior program officer of homeless services, and now he's the COO supporting all of their programs. So Sean, I'm really excited you're here. COVID kind of sidelined community human services as far as being able to tell us their story, and I apologize, I maybe have not done a great job of doing that with the board, so I'm happy you're here to inject exactly what it is you guys do and how we can support you. And you can continue to support us. So thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. And for the Board of Education, this item is information only. There won't be any action.
Thank you for the intro, Tess. Thank you for the intro. It's really refreshing to be here. It's been a long time. I said to Tess when I first walked in, I remember this building being a lot bigger. It's nice to see Mr. Powell without a red hat, and probably refreshing to see me with a button down. I am here to talk about community human services, and we have a lot of programs. Perfect. So our mission is to provide high-quality substance abuse, mental health, and substance abuse services throughout the Monterey County to help improve the lives of all residents and help them reach their full potential. So we've been around for now, I believe, 53 years, and all of our services are offered at no cost, Medi-Cal, or sliding fee scale, and all services are confidential. So we are a joint powers agency, which is a unique type of nonprofit where board members are all elected officials and participate from school districts or
I'm sorry, Sean. Would you mind speaking in front of the microphone?
I'm so used to walking around when I'm talking.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be, yeah, there we go. So we have all of our board members participate within other boards, like Tess, who is here in the Carmel Unified School District. So what's unique about that is that all of our board members within Community Human Services, which has the same acronym as Carmel High School, so I apologize for that, they're able to have input and say into the operations that happen into our programs. So when we're expanding, when we're changing, when we're doing different types of activities in different cities and within different schools, all of the board members have input. So some of our agency metrics here, we're a large nonprofit. Our annual budget is $10.6 million per year. We have about 120 full-time employees. Most of them, about 75% of them, are full-time. Our target population is very low and moderate income residents of Monterey County. We serve about 3,400 people annually. And like I mentioned before, most of our revenue comes from Medi-Cal or contracts with behavioral health. About 80% of our revenue is through contracts with the city, county, and state. So all of our programs are accredited by the Commission of Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities. Our Family Service Center, which I'll get into that in a minute, Genesis House, and Off Main Clinic. Additionally, all of our programs utilize evidence-based practices, which are always evolving just to stay current and ensure that we are providing the best kind of service that we can. So we have three main pillars within the agency. We have mental health services, we have substance abuse services, and we have homeless services. So before I get into these, I like to describe levels of care. So if you think about the most intensive level of care, you imagine a hospital setting where there's a facility around the clock 24/7. The next step down from that would be a skilled nursing facility, residential treatment program. After that would be a residential drug treatment program. After that, a partial hospitalization, and that's something where an individual would be, let's say, going to a program 30 to 40 hours a week. That's a partial hospitalization. Next step would be an intensive outpatient program where you could imagine like a part-time job where it's 10 to 20 hours a week. Then the next level, lowest, would be outpatient. So outpatient's what you imagine individuals going to therapy for an hour or two throughout the week. So when I'm going to be talking fast about a lot of the programs, that's the reference of how intensive or involved it is for the clients. So first is our drug and alcohol intervention services for youth. That's located in Salinas, and the majority of clients are 13 to 18-year-olds, and the clients are coming from or referred by truancy court and drug court. Genesis House is a residential drug treatment program in Seaside, and it's a really unique program. It's got 36 beds. It's unique in that it's large. It's unique because it's co-ed. Not many residential drug treatment programs are co-ed, and there's a special program for perinatal. So, yeah, very, very unique. Sonoma House and Elm House, which are located just around the block from Genesis House, are sober living environments for typically what we call graduates of Genesis House, for them to be in a facility or an area that's more supportive or conducive to their recovery. Off Main Clinic is a medication-assisted drug treatment program, otherwise known as a narcotic treatment program. It's for opiate-addicted adults, and the capacity is for about 285, but typically we have about 250 clients there at any given point. About 150 of them come every single day because they provide methadone and buprenorphine, which are controlled substances, So it's a DEA certified, very regulated program, and has a very high success rate too. But it's a challenging disease, opioid use disorder. So we also have outpatient drug treatment programs in Monterey and in Seaside. And outpatient, so we have groups there, we have individuals, but not so intensive. So it usually takes place after work hours to be able to support those who are in need. Then we have our substance use prevention program, which is a counseling program. It utilizes interactive journaling, a curriculum called 7 Challenges, and that's located in, the last count is 14 different schools throughout the county. High schools and middle schools. Oh, 15, there it is. Our Family Service Center is, we have 2 facilities, one that's in Seaside and one that's in Salinas. And at those facilities, we have a lot of different programs. Our largest program there is an outpatient therapy program where we have groups and we have individuals. And we also have specialized counseling for individuals that are impacted by HIV and AIDS, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning. And we have a supervised visitation program. So this is a program for 2 adults who are in the middle of a custodial dispute over a child or children, and it provides them a safe place to be able to either exchange the children or for the non-custodial guardian to interact with their child. Additionally, at the Family Service Centers, we have a domestic violence intervention and anger management program. This is also unique because it's not for the victims of the program. It's actually for the perpetrators to help rehabilitate them. So we have the majority of our clients who are referred to this program are coming from probation and parole. And if I'm on a clock, feel free to do this, okay? I know there's a lot a lot of programs. So we also have our parenting education program. So this is a pretty cool program because it doesn't take place just at our Family Service Centers. Our educators go to different schools throughout the county, borrow a library or a multi-use room, and parents are able to participate in an evidence-based curriculum to be able to help them be better parents. Some are self-referred. A good chunk come from Department of Social Services or referred by. Now for our homeless services. We have the majority of our programs, because we started out, I believe it was 26 years ago, providing support just to homeless youth. But we've expanded to be able to support the growing need in recent years. So Safe Passage is our transitional housing program. It's supportive housing for 18 to 24-year-olds. It's located in Monterey, and we have a case manager there. They provide life skills education, linkages to substance abuse treatment, mental health treatment. And while they're there, we're able to help them get connected with education, getting more credits at MPC or improving their vocational goals or even just employment. So it's all about getting them up on their feet. Casa Noche Buena is a new program. It's been around for just actually close to 2 years now, a year and a half. It's a low barrier emergency shelter for women and families with children. We have the capacity for 35. We provide comprehensive case management. We have housing navigation, which is very serious in this county due to the high cost of living. And just a little toot of horn, we have over 60% success rate in housing any resident who's been at Casa Noche Buena, so pretty cool. We have Safe Place in Monterey. It is a facility that we operate in the majority of our homeless youth programs. So we have something called a street outreach program, and we have a street outreach program located in Monterey at Safe Place. We also have one in Salinas Valley, and we also have one that's located in South County. So what we do is we have counselors that have vans, we have iPads, hotspots, cell phones, and we go connect with homeless youth out in encampments and try to build that rapport. We're the foot in the door to get them connected with services that are available to them. And the goal is really self-sufficiency in housing. So pretty cool stuff. We go out there, we give them snack bags, water, donations, and basic first aid, basic needs, and really get them connected with the services that we have. We have a youth shelter that's located in Monterey. It's an overnight emergency shelter for 18 to 24-year-olds, open every night of the year. And we have a new program opening up similar to Casa de Noche Buena, where it's a low-barrier emergency shelter for single women and families with children. And it's going to be, like I said, a really similar program that's located in Seaside, but just as a frame of reference, right now for that unique program, we have a wait list of over 300 individuals. So the need's pretty significant. We have support from a lot of the different cities, especially to be able to open up that program in Seaside, but in Monterey, we're already in a shelter overlay zone, and we received a very large donation to be able to purchase this building. So pretty impressive. It's the old dance studio, probably pretty familiar. So we're in the beginning stages of that. So just to give a little bit more overview of Carmel Unified in our programs. So last year the JPA contribution was just over $7,800, and the requested JPA contribution this year is just over $8,400. So I'm going to take a step forward just to take a look at the data. By about just over 60 individuals from Carmel zip codes, and specifically from the Carmel Unified School District, 17 individuals. So something that's worth mentioning when we talk about the data that we have. Number one is we don't count and don't have the ability, at least at this point, we could always look at ways to be better, but the number of family members that are impacted. So if we have, let's say, a student participating in a counseling program or a therapy program, we don't know the parents that are affected by that. We don't know the number of cousins. We don't know the number of sisters or brothers or other siblings. We don't know any of that. So that's something that is worth considering. And something else is the length of service. So what we have is something called units of service. So if we have an individual who comes into therapy one time, that's one individual and one unit of service. If we have that individual and they come see us 5,000 times, it still counts as one person, but the units of service is different. So for a frame of reference, the 60 individuals that were from Carmel zip codes received over 25,000 units of service. So to consider how involved these programs are and how much of an impact they make. And as for community impact, something that's unique and worth saying is the involvement and the ripple that happens. So there's the students that are here that are participating in the program. There's the families that are in that program. There's the teachers who are may or may not be living within the Carmel zip code. And, you know, think about, and I didn't even list it on here, but former students of Carmel. I just happened to find this out yesterday. There was 2 people I went to Carmel High School with who died of a fentanyl overdose within the past 30 days. So these programs are needed, and you know, what we deal with a lot with most of our programs, but I think it's a common term when we're talking about homeless service programs, is the whole not in my backyard. We really want to help these programs, but not in my backyard, so keep it up, but over there. So something that we're always challenged with, but we do receive a lot of support. We're a very large agency, and I appreciate you guys taking the time and let me present here.
Thank you so much for that presentation. I think, as Tess mentioned earlier, I think we were long overdue for that presentation. The last time somebody from Community Human Services did a presentation for us was 4 years ago, right when Tess and I joined the Board of Education. So this updated information about your facilities and all the services that you're providing and your explanation of what a great need for this that's out there was really palatable. So thank you for that very much. With that, I'll go around and we'll have any board questions or comments. I'll start with you, Jack, at the end.
Yeah, I really think this is, a great service that you guys are providing for us, especially because, it's so interconnected, across the whole peninsula. So, Carmel High students don't just know Carmel High students, right? And Carmel High families don't just know Carmel High families. So it's great that you've got this web of connection and support across this entire community. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seabury?
Yeah, I just had one question. Is there an opportunity, like I know as a mom of 3 kids, I'm always looking for ways to help volunteer or to donate my time or to donate services. And I know Carmel Middle School and the high school especially try to get involved in different drives. Is there some kind of relationship that we could set up so that's an available option?
Absolutely. Due to COVID, we kind of put a freeze on the volunteer participation just because of social distancing and all of the exposures and trying to do what we can to just contain all operations. But we've definitely been looking at ways that we can reopen some of our volunteer base. And something that we've been looking into is support at some of our shelters, because these programs aren't designed for very acute individuals. It's typically for those who don't have those higher needs. So it is a bit more accessible in terms of the support that could be provided. We have somebody who just reached out recently to participate and help with some of the meals and distribution of some of the donations. So it's something we're reopening, and we'd love to look into it further.
Yeah, and I was even just thinking of, like maybe a sock drive or a toiletry drive or something that
snack bags.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
So we actually do something during the holidays. We open it up for year-round too, but not as big of a media push. But we do a basic or essential needs drive, and we do that with our homeless services, and we have bins located in about 14 different businesses, and there are some agencies or groups who participate in that. So we can definitely communicate and see what we can do. I appreciate your offer.
Great, thanks, Seabury. Carl?
Yeah, I'll keep it short, but how long have you been doing this?
So I have been in the healthcare field for just under a decade.
And then this particular position?
I've been with this company for about 6.5 years. I just got promoted to Chief Operating Officer a month ago.
So what's next? What's the next phase?
This is it. I'm living the dream.
Now, in terms of this program enhancement, where should it go?
That's a good question. I mean, I could speak personally, not for the agency, because there's a lot of variables that come into that. But I think that more transitional housing is a big piece, because it gives you that foundation piece where you can put somebody in a house, but there might have been reasons that led them to becoming houseless. So there might have been something that led to that, whether it was external or internal. So having a transitional housing program is nice because it can assess what it was, and if it's something that's in there or the program's control, they can help. I think transitional housing.
And if you want your behavioral and attendance records back from middle school,
No, thank you. You can keep that under lock and key. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for all that you do personally and for the services that your organization provides. My son works for the Department of Social Services as a social worker in Salinas in Monterey County, and he has mentioned many, many times how many times that his clients are availing themselves of your program offerings. They are really life-saving, life-changing opportunities for these people to really make a fresh start, to make improvements, to change what they've been doing. So thank you very much for doing what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. It's fabulous. One of the main reasons why I wanted to get involved with Community Human Services is before it was Community Human Services, it was Family Resource Center. And my sister was the executive director of Family Resource Center over 30 years ago. So
Wow.
it's very near and dear to my heart. But thank you so much. And I think moving forward, I think it's really important that maybe you and I can connect and come up with a plan with our superintendent about how are we reaching out to our students and making sure they know that this is accessible to everyone on a broader scale, and really telling your story. So, and I've been to all your open houses. I'm super excited about the Schumann Heart House. That's going to be amazing. But my one question I had is, how many beds are in the youth shelter?
Youth shelter, we have the capacity for 12.
And are most of your facilities generally at capacity?
For the most part,
Okay.
yes. It fluctuates a lot with our youth shelter because the homeless population is very transient in general. But with the younger ages, it's comes in waves. We'll be being knocked at the door, then sometimes there'll be only a few. But yes, for the most part.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah, can I add a quick footnote?
Absolutely.
You know, I was just thinking back, starting out in Pacific Grove in administration and then 25 years here in Carmel. This program has been the last chance for so many students and families because a lot of the kids that need this are at risk, and so are the families. So I cannot count the times where without this and what you people are doing, there would be really nothing. So I just wanted you to know.
Thank you.
I just had one quick question, and thank you again for your presentation. So in regards to your school substance use prevention program, when you have these programs in the 15 schools that you mentioned, what does that look like? Are you pushing into wellness centers or counseling departments with your own staff, or are you delivering a program for the counselors and the wellness centers at sites to use, and then you act as backup support? What is that relationship, and how does that program work?
Good question. So the substance use prevention program, we contract directly with schools, and we have typically one full-time counselor located in the wellness center, or not every school has a wellness center, but that department, and acts as a support. So they receive referrals from school administrators, from teachers, from parents who might call in and say, my child or so-and-so's child may benefit. And what we do is we call them in whenever is approved by the school, during school hours, breaks, lunch, things like that, and have individual sessions with them. We have groups. We have a new vape offense workshop because of the increased usage of vaping. We have an anger management aspect to it as well. So we kind of do the whole gambit, but the program, the counselor acts as though, is part of the school staff. Although they report to the agency, they're just part of the school staff.
Thank you very much. Sharon, did you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you. Thank you for serving our community and helping and supporting all of our families and students who need this level of support and intervention. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I look forward to you and Tess connecting and having the Board of Education learn more about how can we be involved more on a volunteer basis, or even help supporting you with whether it's having bins on our campuses. I'm sure that we'd all love to see our engagement with you be a little bit tighter. So we look forward to a follow-up discussion on this.
Definitely. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you for inviting me. Thank you to the board. Nice to see you, Mr. Powell. Thank you, Tess. Thank you, community members. Would it be okay if I left business cards just in case anybody happens to know somebody who might need something, or if you have a question, they can give me a call or shoot me an email? Thank you, everyone.
Okay, our next action discussion information item is Agenda 3B, and this is our Summer School 2022 programming overview. And again, this will be information only. We're not taking any action this evening. And so to introduce this presentation, I will pass it over to Sharon.
Thank you so much. As everyone comes to line up for the presentation that we have for you, I just want to introduce to everyone the summer school programs from Carmel Unified for summer 2022. There were 5 different elements to the summer offerings we provided and offered to students, and there was a lot of activity involved. It was one of the very first things I did when I first got here was to go and visit the programs that were taking place, and it was fantastic and so much fun to go see everyone enjoying summer opportunities that built not just academic skills but also life skills, and that was a joy to see, because you don't often get both of those together in a summer program from a school district. So each of the 5 programs were definitely customized to the needs of the communities they were serving, and additionally we were able to fund a lot of our programs through some grants from the state for COVID recovery and addressing some learning loss. So that helped out quite a bit and allowed us to be able to provide a variety of offerings for academic, social, physical, and mental support and help for a 6-week period of time, which is also uncommon across summer programs in the state. Usually they do not last 6 weeks for elementary school students. So anyway, great deal of work and planning went into these programs, and it is my pleasure to introduce the team being kicked off by Lee Cambra, who is going to share with us information about the program. And I just want to really highlight before she starts that this piece of artwork that is the background of the first slide here is student artwork from the summer from Captain Cooper students. So just want to call that out specifically.
And Lee, before you get started, I know we all of us up here, we are dying to know about 2022. But the next question that every Board of Education member will have is, so what are you doing for 2023? And I want to be clear that this presentation is not our 2023 go forward plan. We are going to recap 2022 tonight, and then we will revisit 2023 plans in a future Board of Education meeting. So just wanted to get that question out of everybody's mind before we get started. So
Great.
Thank you, Lee.
Okay, so this was our second year hosting a 3-week K-12 program here at the middle school. The program was staffed in the morning completely by CUSD teachers and staff. And this year we were able to provide art for everybody every other day. And we had PE every day. And they also were able to have some STEM classes, so all of our students got to experience that. Teachers were encouraged to use innovative techniques to excite learners and use the facilities that we had here available. So teachers and students were excited to learn about the swallows that are all around here. We even rescued some baby swallows and had to take them to the SPCA for rehabilitation. The classes also got to explore the habitat, and they were excited to see the red-legged frog while they were out there. And we also were able to have 12 middle school and high school students volunteer in the classroom, so they learned a lot about being a teacher. And we also had a wonderful partnership again with the Carmel Youth Center, who then staffed our afternoon program. So some students left at 12:30, some stayed until 3 o'clock. And we also shared our space this year with ESY. So here's Stephen Gonzalez to talk about extended school year.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you for having me tonight. So for extended school year, the acronym's ESY, a lot of acronyms in special education. So for ESY, I believe the past 3 years, Carmel Unified School District has consistently been able to provide our own ESY program. Prior to that, we had to partner with our outside districts to support our students. So that's a big takeaway for us. We're excited that we're able to have the ESY program within the district. And again, the big takeaway is the students have to qualify for ESY. So with the IEP teams really looking specifically at whether or not a student is regressing and whether or not they can make up their skill set within the goals of the IEP, then that really determines based on that data if they qualify. So not all students qualify for ESY. The other takeaway is it takes a team. So although it's a much smaller program, it's very intensive in terms of we still need transportation, we need food, we need the hiring process with the HR department. So we have to plan early and also coordinate with all the special education teachers as they have the meetings and qualify students. So it is a process, and we're very excited to continue providing ESY in the future. And with that, Debbie for the high school.
All right, thanks, Steve. So this year at CHS, we had 56 students join us to regain both credits and to remain A to G eligible. We continued with our Edmentum online program curriculum that we've used in the past. And basically that curriculum begins with an overall semester test. Oh, thank you, sir. Semester test where students can go ahead and opt out, or not opt out, but test out of curriculum that they don't need because they already have learned it. So that really motivated them to take it seriously and to do it well, so that then that they could complete it as soon as possible, because summer is really precious to our high schoolers. Right, Jack? So anyway, they were able to test out. Our program was again in person, allowing individual students to get the support they needed in real time. And we had credentialed teachers, 4 of them, in the core content areas, which included, of course, math, English, history, and science. So with that, I kind of gave you a broad overview. You'll hear from Kaiten, who will share highlights from our Kashawa program.
All right, mine's the longest, but I also get 2 slides, so I'm trying. All right. So for the Kashawa Summer Program, it has been around for quite a few years, but this is the second year that the district sponsored it. It was 3 weeks, and it's for any of the students that live east of the Kashawa grade, so all the way to the Cahoon grade. This year we had 66 kids, anywhere from TK to 8th grade. We also had 14 high school students who volunteered. All of them were at some time a member of the camp in their primary years. The district also paid for 2 high school students as employees, both of which are now enrolled in a university with scholarships. The Friends of Kashawa also paid for 2 adults, both of which were high schoolers in Kashawa when Tess started the program. And in total, we had 70 students at Little School for all 3 weeks from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. because we always had a few absences. And the purpose of the program is not only to help them build their cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domains, but to provide them with opportunities they never would have had to be able to have previously. Previous to this program, many of the students in the remote region would quote going to like Target or Safeway as their big highlight of the summer. So now they're saying that they went to Big Sur, they went to a professional baseball game, they went to science camp, and they even went to a movie theater. So that was pretty awesome. We had organizations such as the Kashawa Fire, Friends of Kashawa, Carmel Valley Community Youth Center, This Club Save Lives, and they were all able to provide resources for these kids. So it was just a true community partnership. Students that were able to experience yoga with Miss Shauna, Pilates with Leah Goldberg, working on a fire truck with Jesse Reimer, painting with Mrs. Woodward, sculpting with Mr. Russell, STEM with Superintendent Knight, learning about agriculture with Jay Godello, own their own succulents because of Lauren Gamblin, Taekwondo with Chris Carlson, and then even pick out their own books because of Miss Clay right here. So all those people were either CUSD employees or people that live in Kashawa. So again, just to show you how much community support that is for those kids out there. And then the next slide is one of the highlights of the program from last year was that we were able to work closely with the Carmel Valley Community Youth Center to provide the Kashawa students with free swim lessons. Since our remote, and then I was talking to Lisa at some meeting, and we were talking about how the remote kids are always the ones that have the most readily access to open water, and they're the least likely to have free swim lessons and have water safety. So thanks to the Carmel Valley Community Fund.
Opposite, Community Fund for Carmel Valley.
That's the one that Miss Tess Arthur's on and Miss Anne Marie Rosen's on. They were able to have some grants so that we have the Cooper kids and the Kashawa kids, and we had 100+ kids inside the pool, free swim lessons, 4 days. It was pretty awesome. So that is it. So with that, Lisa.
There we go. At Captain Cooper this summer, we had 31 Cooper students and 10 CMS CHS volunteers in our enrichment program, and it's based on arts,
gardening, and games. We squeeze in reading, writing, math into all those fun activities so they don't even know they're doing all that. During the final week, of course, you heard that 37 of our students participated in the swim lessons, and that was definitely a highlight with the ending with a field trip to Malera. So it was our third year, and we have Jen, Carolyn, and Ruby as really the leaders of the summer program, and they're also the leaders of our after-school program. So they work really hard, in addition to other assistants at our school and teachers off and on participating and helping with those programs. So we have a lot of Cooper people, staff, working for these programs, and 31 and 37 kids out of 50 kids last year, so a high percentage of our students participate. Thank you.
Great. So in conclusion, I just want to extend a huge thank you to the 5 presenters this evening. So without these 5 folks, these programs would definitely not be possible to run or for our students to participate in. That being said, in addition to these 5 folks, we have every division of our district participating and supporting and helping. There's transportation, there's nutrition services, there's custodial work. I mean, you name it. If it's in this district, it was in a division in this district or a role in this district. HR and hiring people and making sure that we had what we needed to have in terms of support for the quantity of students we had. I mean, without a team of people really pulling together to make this happen for our students, it wouldn't be possible. So just, yes, thank you to everybody who's here tonight, but also to those who couldn't be here tonight and would pack the house. So,
and let's hope you're doing it again next year.
Yeah, and just want to say that although Sarah mentioned this earlier, I want to share that we are in the midst of working. These 5 leaders, along with some additional members of the Ed Services team, are working on sharing with each other and brainstorming and figuring out what summer programs want to grow up to be, right? So we've had them for a couple of years. Have some lessons learned. We have some what we really love, reflection and refinement on things that can be tweaked. And we'll be back at a later meeting to share what our outcome is related to what we are proposing for moving forward.
Great. Thank you all so much.
Can we make a comment?
Yes, I'll go ahead and start with Jack at the end.
Thank you. You can see, I mean, how much care and effort are put into these programs. I mean, it's wonderful to see how many people, are touched by these programs and just how much love is put into what you guys are doing. So thank you so much for that. And I really like how these programs display the interconnectedness of the different, the different facilities and schools that we have in the district. We have these, CMS and CHS volunteers who are going down and helping out younger students. And it's just great to see, how connected everyone is in this community and just displays the closeness that we have in this, tight-knit group of people who really just care about our students. And so, yeah, it's just wonderful to see all the opportunities and just the wonderful programs you guys have. So thank you.
Seabury?
I don't have any questions, but just want to say thank you and wonderful programs. And if you would like to have an ocean theme, I'm your person.
Okay, and if you need somebody in the music world, I'm there, stringed instruments. But a little perspective, you were asking how long we've been here. Well, 1953 for me in Carmel Valley. And then Tularcitos, of course, was not a part of the district. And then Carmel High, no middle school, wasn't here. And, we've always kind of taken care of the school out there during the regular school year. Dan, Paul, and maintenance, and have really kept that thing going, and the tech department, and we've worked on that. But, interestingly enough, it's only been in the last 4 years that the district realized that those kids really didn't have much of anything to do in Kishawa. And they belong to all of us. And we have an obligation there. And this board, with the impetus, starting with Tess, and slightly different board, but we got the thing off the ground in the summer, and now it's blossoming. And the advantage to the district to have those kids have those experiences instead of running around in the heat is beyond description. It really is. And I guess the most difficult thing for me to get through my head is how in the heck did it take so long for the district to recognize that need? Well done.
Thank you, Carl. Anne Marie?
I just want to say thank you for all of you guys. That's amazing. I love dropping in and just kind of seeing what you're doing just from afar. It's so refreshing. The kids that I see up in Kashawa absolutely talk about it all the time. I see the kids running around, in the village. They have had such a great time. They're looking forward to summer, not to just to play, but to actually have something to look forward to. So I thank you for that. And to answer your question, I'm a 9th generation Californian. My family came here prior to 1769. Captain Cooper is my great-great-grandfather. Larry Farrell is my cousin. Andrew Malera is my cousin. So I'm just putting it out there for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Tess?
You guys, thank you. So heartwarming. I came to the middle school. I went to the pool when you had over 100 kids there, and I cried. It's so heartwarming. And I just thank you for taking that ball and running with it, Lee. Wow. With your leadership and your team, you guys can do amazing things. And I know it's only going to get better. So thank you all very much.
And I will just also extend my thanks to all of you. Lee, for your leadership, the team that's here, the team that is not here. What an amazing community effort that you guys pulled off. And I cannot wait to see what's in store for these kids this coming summer. I feel like this one will be hard to beat. I feel like there's probably a lot of lessons learned, but well done. And thank you all for everything that you do for our students.
All right, thank you. That's it for this item, and we can go ahead and move to the next one. Thanks, everyone, for being here tonight.
Thank you for being here this evening. Thank you. So moving along to agenda item 3C. This is our public hearing to review the draft maps and provide input regarding the establishment of trustee areas and elections by trustee areas. So the way the format will work for this agenda item this evening is exactly how we've done it in meetings past. I will go ahead and open up the hearing. We will hear comments from the public. Then we will hear a presentation from our consultant, Shelley. And then we will hear comments and input from the board. And then I will go ahead and close the hearing. Before I go ahead, actually, I'll go ahead and technically on the record open up the hearing now. And before I hear comments from the public, I would just like to sort of recap a few of our past meetings that we've had on this topic. So I'd like to remind everybody that this is our second post-map hearing. There is a schedule of all of our hearings and the go-forward plan, which can be found on the Carmel Unified School District website. We will have one more post-map meeting in October. And during that meeting, we will vote on the final maps. And once that happens, it will go to the county for committee for approval. Before we get started with you, Shelley, this evening, I'd like to remind everybody that during the course of this conversation, the CVRA, the California Voting Rights Act, is a separate entity from our demographer. These are two separate discussions, two separate entities. Our role tonight is simply to give our consultant feedback to put together the best maps for Carmel Unified School District going forward for trustee areas. We all may have very different opinions and thoughts on the process, the CVRA itself, and I'd like to acknowledge that this mandate may not fix what it's intended to for Carmel Unified School District, but ultimately our goal is to provide enough feedback to Shelley and her colleagues so that our consultants can continue to present us with a series of maps that match what we want in terms of better representation. So tonight we'll look forward to hearing more about the maps from Shelley, hearing public comment, and then hearing board comment as well. So with that, I will welcome Shelley to the podium. Actually, I won't. I will do public comment. Just kidding. Sorry. So If there is anybody from the public that would like to comment on the mapping and districting process, please make your way to the podium.
Do I need to take I didn't take a number, but do I need to take a number?
No.
Okay. All right.
No, you're fine.
All right. Good evening, members of the board, and President. My name is Drew Lander. I am very interested in in the districting. I did hear your comments of what you don't want to talk about, so I'll try to adjust my my comments to that. I can say I was able to use the online tools that were provided by your consultant. I think they're very well done. I think they do help lend quite a bit of insight into the demographics of the district. Through playing with that and trying to come up with a couple different combinations, the one thing that I definitely was able to better understand was that I could not really find a good combination of areas that would really result in accomplishing what the CVA or the Voting Act wants to accomplish. And so that's really is my comment. I am, as you know, in my profession, I am a general manager of a public agency, and we've had this discussion. I would ask the board to, it certainly this is good practice to go through and to figure out what these areas could be. But I would actually ask the board to move cautiously with adopting this. I gave my own board recommendation not to move away from, not to create trustee areas or move away from the at-large elections, because it would result in less representation in our district. So through this evaluation, using the tool, I think I came to the same conclusion. I can use that tool in that way to say, I think it's a bad move for the district to move away. Also, in full disclosure, I am, currently a candidate for the board, and I recognize there's a couple of you that live real next to me, and it would result in an outcome where somebody gets dropped. So I see it as those through the years that I've been here, I have not seen somebody run for the board and not get elected because they were in the wrong area or the demographics were not a result of that. I would ask the board to really prioritize the competency of board members and those who wish to serve over the state of California's forced legislation in our community. Just because California says that we should do it doesn't mean that it's right. And I've recognized that from 24 years in public service. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to, for the record, just let our audience know that in 2022, and I think Dr. Knight and Sharon can provide this maybe to our website, but we did adopt previously the resolution to move forward with the CVRA, and we've also received a demand letter. So that is the impetus for moving forward with this. And again, happy to get you that information. Are there any more public comments?
Good evening. Just a couple quick items that I know we've talked about before. I like the plans, like Mr. Lander said, online. It has actually been quite easy to look at the maps. However, I don't know if you're really looking into the specific areas that you had addressed with, say, for instance, Carmel Highlands. I am a property owner down there. I live down there. When we first moved there a decade ago, they told us that area is 50% vacation homes, second homes. What happens if, because in Plan 5 you have it, mostly Big Sur, but also the Highlands, and no one steps up because we don't have the actual voters there because they are registered in their first home, what happens then? And as definitely a minority in my neighborhood, I see what you're trying to do. I see that this is what we have to do. Is it the way to go? I don't know. Because again, what if no one steps up? Then where are we left at? Because these people have been doing an amazing, phenomenal job. I would not want to step into their shoes. So those are just a couple of my comments about this.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Get to practice extemporaneous here because I'm just learning about this and trying to understand and just thumbing through this. First, I draw grave concern from the distinction between the CVRA and what we're doing here, the importance of equal representation and what is encapsulated in a Voting Rights Act on the federal and on the local level, I think is important to consider because we are faced in the near future with conversations about partisan gerrymandering and making sure majority minority districts are properly represented. So that's my CVRA pitch. Living in Big Sur, I'm definitely aware of our demographic and those that can vote and those that are who are represented. And there's a big distinction there. We have a large undocumented and alternatively documented folks who live in the district and who receive the services, how they garner representation. So looking at, I don't know what the best answer is. I wish I had a recommendation. I wish I had a solution. I wish I had more time to look at this, but I'm going to dive full on into it. I would echo what my friend in the nice shirt says about taking our time, dragging our feet. A demand letter is just that. There certainly can be injunctions and other requests that can cause us to slow things down. I understand that a resolution was adopted by this board, and I understand even if a demand letter is sent, certainly there's something that can be done that can ensure that the district stays well represented, appropriately represented, whatever that looks like. Again, I don't know the answer right now. I wish I had more time or information. So I just want to say that for the record.
Just to address time and wanting to provide feedback. So we are having another MAP meeting in October. It'll be October 19th where you'll be able to provide feedback. There's also online on the Carmel Unified website. You can provide feedback as well. You can always email the Board of Education, email Dr. Knight. So I don't want you to feel like there is not a way for you to provide feedback on this project because there are many angles for you to do that. We do want to hear from you. We really do. So thank you. Is there anybody else here for public comment on the draft mapping? No. Okay. So now, I'm sorry, Shelley. I will officially turn it over to Shelley to hear the presentation on the maps from our consultant.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and to present some more maps for your consideration. And I do appreciate the public comment, and it's always interesting to hear the public and what they have to say for a subject that's dear to my heart. Okay, so in this presentation, I just want to reiterate that we have this plan drawing kit on the website, and that we revised it based on the last meeting. We made more pieces for Big Sur area and more pieces for Carmel Valley Village. I'm going to go over plans 5, 6, and 7. Those are the new plans. And if you want to review any of the other plans, plans 1 through 4, we can do so. And I also should say there's another plan that was submitted by a member of the public. It was not in time to put it in your packet, but it is on the website now, the Hauser plan.
And will we be discussing the Hauser plan at the October meeting, just to be clear?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You should definitely do that because we can have that in the board packet.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just a reminder that we have this plan drawing tool. We have tried to divide the district into different pieces that people would combine to make their own trustee area. And it was gratifying that the public has, in fact, used this tool. So that's great. And that some of the board members, I believe, have used this tool as well. And hopefully the revisions that we gave you for Carmel Valley Village has helped, and in the Big Sur area. And you can't really see it very well, but this is a map of the pieces, the new pieces. They're in the plan drawing kit. We have zoomed in maps, so 4 different maps, so it's easier to look online when you're actually doing a plan. You should be able to zoom in and see streets and so on. I want to remind the board what our task is. There, we have to use the census population. We have to divide the district into 5 equal parts. You have some leeway in the population. The ideal population is 4,594 people, but the difference between the smallest and largest district can be up to 459 people. So that's the task. Okay, so let's go into draft plans 5, 6, and 7. So at the last meeting, there was a consensus of the board that we should take trustee areas 1 and 2 from Plan 4. And I just want to make sure you all still like that idea. This could be changed if you decide that is not what you like. But that was a decision, a tentative decision, and it was helpful. So all of plans 5, 6, and 7 use trustee areas 1 and 2 from Plan 4.
And as a recap, that was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the combining of the Carmel by the Sea with the area in Pebble Beach.
Yes.
So just want to make sure we all remember that. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. All 3 plans in 5, 6, and 7 split Carmel Valley Village. And the purpose of this was for the board to see what would happen if we split Carmel Valley Village. Could we make the trustee areas more compact? So this will give you 3 different examples of what the trustee areas look like when we divide Carmel Valley Village. Plan 5 takes the largest population of Carmel Valley Village and combines it with a rural area that includes Kachawa. And Big Sur and Kachawa are in different trustee areas. Plan 6 is a little different in that Big Sur and Kachawa are combined. So it's one big rural area, but the other districts are more compact. And then Plan 7 is a different way to split Big Sur and Kachawa, and goes along Highway 1 in Big Sur. So I wanted to remind you all of the incumbents, where they live, because in 2 incumbents live in Carmel Valley Village in the same census block. They're always going to be in the same trustee area. The other 3 other trustees are in one trustee area in plans 5, 6, and 7, as well as in Plan 4. So they're all along the side just east of Carmel by the Sea. Okay, so here is Plan 5, and I'm going to have some zoomed in maps of Plan 5. The main thing here is that Big Sur and Kachawa area are divided. That line going down the middle is Robinson Canyon Road, and we've taken some of Carmel Valley Village and combined it with Trustee Area 3. And so that makes Trustee Area 5 a little more compact than if we were not to do that. It's sort of unaffecting Trustee Area 4 because Trustee Area 4, which includes Big Sur, does not include any of Carmel Valley Village. But what it does do is make, again, Trustee Area 5 a little more compact by taking some of Carmel Valley Village. And this is a zoomed in area of the northwest area. And again, it's this trustee area 1 and 2, where trustee area 1 is Carmel by the Sea with Del Monte Forest. And trustee area 2 wraps around Carmel by the Sea. And then here is a zoomed in map of trustee area 3 and 5. 3 and 5. So what this does, I think this is, if you were going to split Carmel Valley Village, this is sort of the cleanest way, maybe, because it's going down Carmel Valley Road and then Holman. So it's kind of a straightforward split of Carmel Valley Village. And then we have our data table, and it's just basically saying that you're within that 10% leeway. So that's Plan 5. So Plan 6 is quite different because we have Big Sur and Kachawa together in the rural area in District 5. But it's not as large as it might be because it does take some of Carmel Valley Village. So it's less spread out. And districts, 3 and 4 are also more compact than what some of the other plans look like. So let's look at some of the zoomed in maps. This looks very similar. Plans 1, trustee areas 1 and 2 are the same. And then you have trustee area 3 here. And ideally, we would have shown a little bit where the trustee area 3 boundaries are. But let me go on to the next zoomed map. This is showing you the Carmel Valley Village split. So we're going down Carmel Valley Road, and then we go up to Ford and come back down to Carmel Valley Road. And then we use the Carmel Valley Village boundary. And I should say this is not an official boundary. It's what the Census Bureau calls Carmel Valley Village. And hopefully this is what you all think of as well. Usually city planners or county planners are called upon to define these areas that aren't actually cities. So that's Plan 6, and again, it's within the legal guidelines of that 10%. So going on to Plan 7, this is another way to split Big Sur area with Kachawa, and it goes along the forest, and then it goes along Highway 1. So I don't know if this would be a good split or not. It's nice to have something like Highway 1 as a definable boundary, but I don't know if we're splitting the Big Sur area by going down Highway 1. But it does provide District 5 is a little more compact because it does take part of Carmel Valley Village. So here again, we have the northwest area, and I'm going to go on to this where you can see how we're going along the river, then we jump up to Carmel Valley Road and go along to the boundary. So we have to do these little jump ups, so to speak, because of population. We're just trying to equalize the population. And then again, we have, here's a detail of the Big Sur area. It's a little different kind of map just to give you perspective about the landmarks in Big Sur and whether going down Highway 1 would be a good idea or not. And then we have the data table here. So I think it might be good. Let me just go back to the summary pages of this, because there's definitely some decisions. Seeing these maps, do you like splitting Carmel Valley Village? Is it achieving what you want? If you decide you don't want to split Carmel Valley Village, then we have plans 1 through 4, as well as the Hauser plan, and we can discuss that. But that would be a good thing for the board to give me feedback on. I guess a couple things. Do you still like trustee areas 1 and 2 as we have in plan 4, 5, 6, and 7? What do you think about the split of Carmel Valley Village? Do you want Big Sur and Kachawa in the same district or in separate districts? Those are key decisions.
All right. Thank you for that presentation. And I guess with that, we'll turn it over to board comment. And we'll just go, I'm sure we all have similar, if not different comments, but along the way here. So I'll start with you, Jack. Any initial comments or feedback on the mapping?
Yeah, I know that this discussion's only on the maps, and I understand that what this is trying to do is to create, fair representation on the school board, and in doing that, what we're trying to do is best serve the students. And so I would actually like to bring to attention a measure Y1, which voters in Berkeley overwhelmingly approved this measure with over 70% of the vote. And it gave the city council the authority to approve a lower voting age for school board elections through a basic ordinance. And the voting age was moved to 16 for school board elections. And I think that, in understanding what we're trying to do with this redistricting, it would also probably be beneficial to look into a measure like this, which could, increase the positive effect that the school board has on the students by basically letting more of their voice be heard when it comes to them picking who's going to represent them.
Thank you. We all noted that. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. That gives us a lot to think about. Thank you very much for that feedback. Seabury?
So just for clarification, one of my questions was, it sounds like we don't have an option not to do this. Okay. And then, okay, how is that not true? I guess we shouldn't have back and forth. Sorry. And what happens if someone doesn't step up from that district? I mean, what's alternative B then?
So if I'm not mistaken, and Sharon, I know Dr. Knight's been on the phone with our attorneys regarding this, so I apologize that we might not have all the answers to the questions, but it is my understanding if during the 2024 election, if nobody steps up, then a resident of that trustee area could be appointed and will be appointed.
And then I was curious, have we looked at any historical data of the representation on the board?
Yes,
Oh, funny you should ask. Board member Carl Palestrini has that noted.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that too. Okay. But I guess I understand the concerns about, that the census isn't correct. I think we've hashed through that. We all know that, absolutely. But I still feel really strongly that Kashawa and Big Sur are different communities. I lived in Carmel Valley out on Tassajara Road for 2 years as a young person, but I was definitely there, and my family is from Big Sur. So I definitely feel strongly that those are two different communities. And I feel like if there's an opportunity for two separate voices and more equity to represent these communities, that we should move forward with that. So I feel strongly that we should have a voice from each of these separate communities. And then in terms of where those where those boundaries are, how that takes place, I think we have to play within the guidelines and the population numbers. But yeah,
Great, thank you for that feedback. Carl?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Jack's point. And the reason why is I've looked at the responses on the website, and its sum total is 5 from the community. 5 responses. 1 from a board member, 3 from a couple that just left. This is not getting a lot of traction in the community, at all. And what's the message? What is the message there? Have we saturated this enough? Do people care enough? It really puts it on the board. When we don't have that kind of feedback, what are we supposed to think? And it's to me a critical issue. It really is. It gets no traction. I've tried to talk to people downtown about this. They're not interested in this at all. And so it does concern me as to people winding up with some kind of representative government that they really didn't pay much attention to for whatever reason. Maybe the students would pay a lot more attention to this than the adults. It's quite possible. And they might find it more interesting. So I'm not saying it's not important, but what I am saying is there's clearly a lack of community interest at the level of which I have never seen with 11 years on the board for anything. So there is that piece.
Can I just underscore that piece for one moment, Carl?
Yes.
I do want to let the board and our community know that on September 20th at 5:30 p.m., there will be a listening session regarding districting in Kashawa to get feedback from community members there. And Dr. Knight is also planning one in Big Sur. I don't know.
It's
on September 22nd as well, to get feedback from our outer lying areas of our district.
Well, that's certainly a start in the right direction. Of course, all the work we have done with PR has been good. I mean, we've reached out in as many ways as we basically can with as many publications and avenues. But going back to the history, so I thought I'd do a little history, go back to 1981, right? So from 1981 to this board, the city of Carmel has had the greatest proportion of school board members, and that is 12 different individuals with varying lengths of terms. Most of them between 4 to 6 years, leaving generally when their kids leave, that kind of thing. Mid-Valley, we've had 4. One of the 4 had served 27 years on the board. That's a long tour of duty. Carmel Valley, 6. And if you put Carmel Valley and Mid-Valley together, you're at 10, which gets it pretty close to where Carmel and the Carmel area is. Pebble Beach, 3, sum total since 1981. 1 an appointment and 2 elected. Big Sur, 1. Frank Penny, 1 board member in all that time from Big Sur. Carmel Highlands, I would say 2. We had Claudia Daniels for about 8 years, and then we had Matt Fuzzi, who was the director of state parks, and he lived there at Point Lobos, so I'd probably call that the Highlands. But it goes to show you that the remote areas of our district have had very little representation for whatever reason. And most of it has come with a fairly even balance between Mid-Valley into Carmel Valley and then Carmel, Pebble Beach, Mission Fields. So that's been the balance factor in terms of how those elections have gone. The only question I would have is the two remote communities, Big Sur and Kashawa, if they were together with adding numbers from that wedge of Carmel Valley Village, would have the very best chance to have an elected official, if that's what they want. Now, are the two communities the same? They are not. You know, Big Sur's got Captain Cooper, district school. Tulecido's kids bust in real early in the morning to Tulecido's. What do they want? What does this community want? Or it doesn't matter to them. But looking at all of these plans, the only significant difference I see in 7 is it does put the two remote communities together where they likely would have the best chance to get an elected representative. But then that representative would have to become familiarized with a community that they don't live in and really have no reference point to. Can it be done? Sure, probably could. But if aside from that, and you look at the rest of it, well, you're splitting hairs on the rest of it, and I've looked at all the possible iterations of this. So that's my thoughts.
Great, thank you, Carl. Anne Marie?
Wow. I'm needing time to process all of this. I'm sure I'm going to be listening to this one again. Thank you very much. Maps 5, 6, and 7, I think, are better representations. They're all equal, and you've done an excellent job of doing what is required of, legally required for you to do. I'm having a hard time. I'm trying to process what Carl just said about putting the two, Kashawa and Big Sur, together. I'm thinking of running an election for that. I'm thinking about people who are going to be going and talking to both communities, and it takes 2.5 hours to get from one to the other. And that's not counting traffic or waiting for boulders to roll down the hill for half an hour, which she just did today. That's really hard for somebody to get elected and to hit both areas and really do both areas justice. And that's, I think, what we're trying to do. What I really like about this board in particular right now is that equity is really where we're at. And we are really focused in on that. And I really like that, because I don't know, just putting it out there for people, it's inequity and inequality. Then you've got equality, and then you have got equity. And they are two different representations. Sometimes they look the same. And the Voting Rights Act is just trying to make it, in most cases, equality and equity are looking pretty much the same. And there's a few districts. In this district in particular, I think it looks vastly different. I mean, it really, equality is not going to be equity here. I have a really hard time with that. I have, in the past said that, you've heard me. I'm sorry, I don't mean to repeat this, but, I think that the last census was deplorable, and that was not, your fault. You couldn't do anything about that. We can't look at any other data other than the census by, the limitations that we have, and we are looking at, having, this, and LULAC is coming at us, and just have this bogey out there as to what they're going to do. I'm going to put one big one out there, and I'm just going to be the board member that just throws the elephant out there in the room and say maybe that we should actually take the step towards equity and take a look at something completely different other than these really good maps, and take a look at having 3 board members representing our 3 different elementary schools. We have a Title I school in Big Sur. We have got Cooper, we've got Tular, who has this huge driving issue. And then we have got a River, who has got this, tightly closed-in community. There are 3 different flavors of elementary school, and then have 2 representatives. One be a representative that deals with middle school issues, and another one that deals with high school issues. So they would be pretty much an at-large. I'm just throwing it out there to take the step from equality, which is what LULAC is wanting us to do, and what the Voting Rights Act is trying to get us to do, and to say, let's take a step further and take it to equity. And I know that I can't do that, but I'm just putting myself out there. Anne Marie Rosen, I'm the one who said it. So in case you're going to come after me, I want you to know who's the one to come after. It's me, not anybody else here. I'm the one who stepped in the pile of doo-doo out there.
Can I just jump in and say,
Please.
sorry, I feel I have to clarify for everyone who's listening also that while that's your piece, and I appreciate you owning that, it is not legal according to the California Voting Rights Act. So it won't work with what we are obligated to adhere to. And I just want to make that very clear.
Oh, and that is why I said I'm stepping in the doo-doo, and I'm taking the hit for everybody else. If you need me to go, I will step out. All you have to do is just vote me out. Anyway, I'm here right now. I like putting the two, Big Sur and Kashawa, as two separate entities, and I like maps 5, 6, and 7 much better than I do 1, 2, 3, and 4. So thank you very much for all of your efforts. I do appreciate all of that, and I do like where my board members are going towards equity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Tess?
First of all, Jack, Measure Y1. I'm curious how quickly they were able to vote on that, because I love that idea. I mean, I think the students would have a more vested interest than, quite frankly, some of these people who have their second homes here. But one thing I wanted to say, too, is remember each voting block, wherever we land, will be voted on by just that voting block. So it's just the popular vote. So if people don't live here, and whether they vote or not, it's just the popular vote. So I've given this a lot of thought, and my question is, I think Plan 5 is probably getting a little bit closer, but my thinking, driving to Big Sur today, I'm thinking corridors, I'm thinking representation. So someone on the Carmel Valley Road side who, if that trustee area is broken up like it is in most of these, the representation for the other corridor, being Highway 1, makes no sense to me. So, like, I live in Carmel Valley. It took me an hour and a half to get to Cooper. Am I going to be representing those people in Cooper as well as I'm representing people on the Carmel Valley corridor? So my question to you, and I have not played with the maps, I've looked at the numbers, and I know we can do this, but have you started from Kashawa and gone the corridor of Carmel Valley Road? Where does that end to reach that 4,500 number? Same with Big Sur. If you start in Big Sur and come Highway 1 corridor, where does that end? And then that last trustee area is trustee area 3, which is kind of the north to the south and the west to the east side. So it's like coming out from trustee area 1 and 2 and create, because to me, for example, trustee area 3 in plan, oh wait, hold on, I wrote this down. I don't understand why trustee area 3 in Plan 5 does not go out equidistant from both sides, east to west, north to south. You see what I'm saying? So someone can live by Carmel Middle School and run for the board in Plan 5 in that trustee area 3, but they would still be representing the other side pretty far down into Big Sur. So that is I'm wondering if we've done it that way coming out from our outlying populations on those corridors.
I did not follow that because I don't think I know the territory as well as you all, but I wonder if, like, on Plan 5, you said that was getting to where you were saying, let me
But
just
it's
say,
still,
like,
it's
Plan
broken up on the riverside. So it looks like people can live in Paso Hondo but represent Captain Cooper. That makes no sense because that is along the Carmel Valley corridor.
So for example, Plan 5, which has Big Sur, and the area to the east of Big Sur is really not very populated. So if you were saying if you were starting with Big Sur, how far would you have to go? That's how far you would have to go if I'm understanding your question. Or
Okay, I see. Okay.
But is that what you're asking
Yes.
to do?
Yes. Then I guess I would say that, so if that is trustee area 4 in Plan 5, I can't tell if that includes over the mountains. It looks like it does.
Well,
does.
it's kind of through the mountains, but it's Robinson Canyon.
But it also includes like Hacienda Carmel. That doesn't make much sense to me, but I guess that's unavoidable.
Well, if you go up Big Sur, if you wanted to start with Big Sur and go up, that's how far up you
But I'm
would
saying like that area is along the Carmel Valley corridor. So I would rather see the Big Sur corridor go further into Carmel to reach the number.
So go
Tess,
more
could you
east.
point on a map? Could you?
Yeah.
Which one?
You want
Could
me
you
to-
pull up the Plan 5 Northwest
Do you
area
guys see what
detail?
I'm saying? Do you guys
Oh.
understand?
So, yes, Tess, is this the right map?
There's a mountain range in between, right? So you have to go all the way around to represent that area, is my point. So here we have, this is the Carmel River, but all the way over to here, this is all off of the Carmel Valley corridor. So I'm just saying, if we could come in, come from Kashawa down and see where it lands population-wise, combine trustee area 3, maybe into here, although these are already established. So, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, back up one slide so we can see the whole area.
I'm talking corridor to
There we go.
Is that-
Now show the corridor.
Okay, so this is all off of the Carmel Valley Road corridor, all the way to here even, right? Yes. Yeah. So this needs to be divided going, in my opinion, this is just how I feel. I just think that if we combine all of Carmel Valley Road corridor, all of Highway 1 corridor, even if we have to change here to make, even if we need to go a little bit into trustee area 2 and make this area bigger here, I don't know. That's my thinking.
How on trustee area 5? How is that not happening? What do you want different?
This is Kashawa. This is off of Carmel Valley Road.
That is outside the district.
Yes.
So Kachawa is listed there in red.
That red dot.
That red dot there.
So I guess this is primarily.
That's all the national forest and
One
green.
more slide to the detail.
This is the area here. I don't know.
Tess, look at the next slide because that has more clarity on.
This one?
Yes.
So this is.
No, that doesn't have trustee area 5.
No, the next area 5. The next one.
Trustee area
It's
5
I'm
is
sorry, it's the
priority
next
road.
one. Sorry. So I think what you're also saying, Tess, is to expand trustee area 2 farther south, correct? So I think, Shelley, on the one map, I guess it's slide 9. I think Tess is also for population. I think you need it for your numbers, right? For
Yeah.
population numbers, if you could, I don't know if I have a really horrible sense of direction. I will just say that now. So I don't know which direction you're moving, trustee area 2, if it's south or east, but one of those.
Left or right works if you want to use that. Up, down.
Let me
Yeah,
add that point
but
to this.
it is expanding. But you are saying to expand trustee area 2.
Yeah.
To give
Yes.
it, yeah.
You might, yeah, but let me say this. The whole reason why we don't have board members from the remote areas is exactly what Tess is talking about. They don't want to drive forever from Kashawa after a workday to a board meeting at Carmel Middle School or Big Sur for that matter. That's why we don't have them. If you live in town like I do, you can go 2 or 3 blocks. It works. But
I've already been hearing though.
no,
that
what I'm saying though is it's supporting your point really.
Yeah.
Is what you're trying to do is to try to find an avenue where a representative isn't going to be overtaxed. That's what I'm getting from what you're saying in terms of being able to really get the job done. So you're looking at logistics, you're looking at the roads, you're looking at the way to get back and forth and all of this. But, I think it's important for the community to remember here that these are only ideas. No one here is set in stone, and the reason they're only ideas is because we don't know what the community really wants.
Well, they need to turn into.
Let me do one more reference point to give you an idea. City of Pacific Grove is dealing with this. They're about a mile square, trying to come up with 5 districts, right? How do they do it? Well, they can't figure it out because the whole thing looks the same to them, which it is. So the advice that I was just reading the other day from their attorney, the LULAC, not LULAC, but their district consultants, is nobody is winning these cases with LULAC intervention in terms of asking districts to do this.
Yeah.
No one is prevailing. So it needs to be said, why do we have to do this? Well, quite frankly, if we decided that we didn't want to do this, we would really be buying into something that could be very expensive and with a very low probability of prevailing. So that's why we are really trying to move this forward and to sort it out. And what we really don't have is public input.
So I'd just like to provide, thank you for that, Carl, and clearing that up. I do appreciate that a lot. So I'll give my 2 cents on the maps. I do like the essence of what Tess is saying, so I think that's maybe some good feedback, or the two of you could connect via email or something for that feedback after this meeting. I know that one of the questions or one of the conversations you wanted to have tonight was whether or not we split Kashawa and Big Sur or combine them. So I do think as a board tonight we should come to some type of consensus, kind of as we did with the whole Pebble Beach Carmel by the Sea thing. We should try and come to consensus on that piece. And since all of you weighed in on that, I'll give my opinion on that piece. And I think that if we want to pay homage or just kind of dedicate a little bit of mindset to what the essence of this project is, it is to have representations from all parts of our community and all parts of our district. So I personally believe that we are doing the outer lying districts a disservice for not having them in separate trustee areas. I don't believe in the electability theory, because I think the landscape of school boards and school districts has changed tremendously. I think parent involvement, I think community involvement is far greater now than it was 20, 10, 15 years ago. And I do believe that there is motivation to have representation from these outer lying areas. And if you live out there and you want to be elected and you want a voice and you want to be on a board of education, you will do that and you will make that a priority. And I would love more than anything to see representation from those outer lying areas. So for what it's worth, I would like to see those areas separated and really, really focus on the essence of what we're trying to do here.
Let me respond, since I'm the guy that brought up that combined effort. The only reason I brought that up is from a political perspective, they would have a better chance of getting somebody elected from a remote area. Mm-hmm. In terms of competing, it's very difficult for people to compete from either Big Sur or Carmel or Kashawa, because they're not a part of the mainstream voters. They're not a part of a 500 student Dillercito school. They're not a part of a 450 student River School.
But Carl, if I could interrupt you, they're part of a community.
Well,
and
no, just
there might not be part of a school.
Let me make the point, and then you can take it apart all you want. I'm just talking about what I see as probability of them getting elected is what I'm talking about. Now, is it worth it? That's a whole different story. I don't have any issue with that at all, or whether they want it. But I think, if you're trying to get elected in a remote area, it's much harder to do because you don't have the exposure of the general community that you do with the population centers. So the only reason I brought that up is because I think it needs to be said. Can anybody be elected? Well, of course they can. And I would support that. And I would also agree with something that Anne Marie brought up a little earlier. The practicality of having those two communities together is not very realistic, because how would you go if you were a rep from Big Sur to Kashawa or Kashawa to Big Sur and then expect to participate at a community level at a board meeting? So is it practical? No. All I was saying is, in terms of doability, I think that if you could district it in such a way where they would have a better chance. But is it practical and would it work? No. That help? Maybe not.
Sure, thank you. Can we go back to slide 7, please? And let's go ahead and take a look at the feedback that you need for this evening. So it sounds like we do have consensus for the same configuration. Well, this may change if you sounds like we have trustee area 1 squared away, but to Tess's comments earlier, if you are going to move around trustee area 2, that is something that we could possibly view at the next mapping meeting.
Well, and if I can just add on to that. So looking at the Big Sur corridor, it's the Highway 1 corridor on that trustee area 4. That's the one that's coming to part of the on the east side of the Carmel River. Does that make sense?
Let me go to 7.
So Plan 5, trustee area 4.
Plan 5 or Plan 7?
Plan, am I looking at the wrong
7 does the
Plan 7
goes
okay.
along Highway 1, but you know that the other side of Highway 1 is in a separate trustee area. So I didn't know if that was good or bad from a local perspective, right?
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting my plans confused.
So maybe we can continue talking about that trustee area and give Shelley feedback to your second point that all 3 plans split Carmel Valley Village in an attempt to make it more compact. So I guess, do we want to tackle splitting Carmel Valley and Kashawa and see where we have consensus on that, so we can at least have that guidance for the next version of maps going forward?
It sounds like there's consensus that Big Sur and Kashawa should be in different trustee areas. So we at least have that.
I just want to make
right?
sure that we're all
It
we're all
sounded
good with that. Okay.
like everybody said that.
Okay.
And then, so now the question, because there's ways to do that and not split Carmel Valley Village, but that's the next big thing. So 5 and 7 split Carmel Valley Village and put them in separate trustee areas. I also want to show you maybe Plan 3, because that also splits it and keeps Carmel Valley Village together. So that's your other option, if you look at that. So Carmel Valley Village is not split. And now, if you just go up Kashawa, if you take Kashawa and you have to get population, that's how far up you would have to go. So when you split Carmel Valley Village, you don't have to go up so high. That's the trade-off. And I just want to mention the Hauser plan has a different line down the middle, just to the west of that. But it's, so it looks a little different. But that's the basic idea.
Is that already in our?
It's on the website.
It did not make the packet.
Yeah, we had to, sorry, we didn't do it until Monday. Have it.
So,
but this, I think if you look at 3, that's a good indicator of how far you need to go up, how northern you have to go up to with Kashawa.
Yeah, I feel like that really dilutes the intent of having Kashawa be a voice.
Yeah, I agree.
I am in full agreement there. I mean, you're looking at the northwestern section of that, and excuse me, that's top left portion of trustee area 3. I mean, you're looking, that's near, Hacienda del Mesa, all the way up into the National Forest. I mean, that's at, towards the end of, as Carmel Valley Road is approaching Arroyo Seco.
So we agree that Plan 3 is not the plan.
Or that's the problem, and that's why you went to split
Exactly.
Carmel Valley Village.
Yes. So let me go back to your summary slide of what you want from us.
You're what?
I'm liking the Hauser plan. I'm looking at it right now. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know, unfortunately,
Sorry.
that will be at the next meeting. I don't think it was not posted to the board agenda packet. So I apologize about that. But it is on the website. So yeah, so you can view it on the website for sure. And please feel free to provide feedback on it.
And board members could provide feedback on the website that I then can get and make changes to.
And at this point, do you think that's the best path forward? Because I think we at least know now we're not combining Kashawa and Big Sur. We feel like the boundaries possibly of trustee area 2, if they could be expanded, that would be interesting to look at. And if I could summarize Tess's feedback, you are looking to further the boundaries of trustee area 4 as well, or change the dynamics of those.
Well, it would be to break up Carmel Valley Village so it doesn't go so far into Carmel. It looks like Big Sur, we don't have a choice to come in as far as we do into
Right.
Carmel. But trustee area 4, if we broke up Carmel Valley Village and stay along Carmel Valley Road and find the most natural cutoff point for trustee area 4, because Carmel Valley Village to me includes Paso Hondo and those areas as well. And those are not included in this. So I would just break up Carmel Valley Village and have that natural break from Kashawa out or in.
And what about Plan 5 would you adjust on that? So larger part to go into District 5?
Show me a bigger map. Yeah, I guess I don't understand why it comes into Carmel Valley Village. Why wouldn't we just take that line?
Which line?
Oh, God, I don't want to go there. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
You're talking about trustee area 3.
I'm talking about 3 and 5. Yes. So
Yeah.
cutting off trustee area 5. Yeah, there you go. Oh, she's too short. Well, we can't do that because that other trustee area 4, trustee area 5 and 3, where those border each other, I would say go closer into trustee area 3 and not have that long line. So so trustee area 5 cuts more into Carmel Valley versus going that close to Carmel. Yes, if possible. Yes. Just balancing out that so it's not broken up into Carmel Valley Village. I understand that. Yeah, that's the preserve and Rancho Cañada. Yeah.
I have this.
Yeah.
So you want
Yes.
So you want more of Carmel Valley Village into 5
Yes.
so that this area is not
Yes.
in here.
You have very few people in that national forest. There are some people who are
Yeah.
hiding out there that not necessarily.
Yeah. They're not counted.
They're not counted, and I don't think they want to be counted or found.
Okay, so do you feel like you have, well, and I think we should all, now that we kind of have taken a deep dive into these trustee areas, I think we should all feel good about providing feedback on the website too, of where the boundaries are and kind of where we think things should go.
Yeah, that would be very helpful. But you've made a lot of progress. Yeah.
In the part about providing feedback, how do you incorporate that if you get feedback from all of us? Are you gonna do 5 different maps on the same issue, or?
Yeah, I will do as many maps as that are legal.
Okay.
That I could do.
Somebody got left out.
Can I just jump in and tell everyone that the way to give feedback is to look at the maps online and then provide messaging to feedback@carmelunified.org. That's the method to do that. And the link is on our webpage on the districting part of the CUSD website.
Have we received any of that kind of input that we're not aware of in terms of just the written stuff that we've been looking at on the website. I mean, have you received many maps that have been designed by the community?
One.
One.
The Hauser plan.
Okay.
There is a website dedicated to feedback. Any piece of feedback that we've received written is
Okay.
on that webpage.
May I just suggest one thing, or just point one thing out? When you're looking at these, you need to take a look at what the voting is going to look like when it comes down to 5 people who are representing 5 different areas, and it comes down to that voting. If one person is, you know, at one tail end and is representing somebody else who's at the other tail end, they can do something about that person and have them recalled. They can have a recall for that district. If you're in District 3 and 4, 5, and 1 are ganging up against them, you can't vote those other people out. You can only deal with the person that you got in your district. So you want to make sure that you've got somebody who's going to be liking to your whole entire district. So I'm just going to put that out there as a cautionary tale.
And
thank you, Anne Marie.
Just one last comment. I also, if you have suggestions on how we can better promote this and get better recruitment to these listening sessions, you know, we would love to hear that as well. I think it's really important that we get the feedback, and if these listening sessions are occurring, you know, how can we ensure that more people are showing up?
I know, Lisa, you're doing a good job of promoting the listening session. I know you put it in your Friday email, so thank you for everything that you're doing. That's great.
And I see a board member right there.
I would also like to mention that we have our community outreach liaison who's been working to provide awareness to the community that she's working with.
Yes, she's working with both Kashawa and Big Sur to, yeah. Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you all for this discussion. I'm glad we could find a way to provide some feedback to you and give you some marching orders for the October meeting. So thank you very much, Shelley. We appreciate it a lot.
Thank you for your hard work.
And I will go ahead and officially close the hearing on that agenda item. All right, moving to agenda item 3D. This is another public hearing. So this is a public hearing on resolution number 22-12 regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials. It is so I'll open up the hearing again. We will hear the presentation by staff. This is why I was confused last time. Then we will hear comments from the public, then comments from the board, and I will go ahead and close the hearing, and then we will vote on the resolution. So right now, I will go ahead and open up the public hearing on resolution 22-12 and pass it off to Sharon.
Thank you so much. So I'll keep this as brief as possible. This is an annual and routine item that every district has to conduct every year, which assures and provides assurances to the community that we have sufficient instructional materials. We are required to do this per education code in order to continue to receive funds from the state. So it's quite simple. I will share that at this time, we have sufficient materials for all of our students, both electronic and in print.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any public comments on resolution number 22-12? Seeing as there's none, we'll take any comments or questions from the board on this resolution. Okay, thank you, Sharon. Thank you, board. I will go ahead and close the hearing. And agenda item 3E is resolution 22-12, request for approval regarding sufficiency of instructional materials.
I have no additional information to provide.
Okay, may I please receive a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nockbar.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And now we'll welcome Craig Chavez to the podium for agenda item 3F. This is public notice of the 2022-2023 joint initial proposal regarding collective bargaining agreement negotiations between ACT and CUSD.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Government Code 3547, as listed in our policies, indicates that we have to provide public notice of our intent to negotiate and around those subjects. So if you could point your eyes to the screen, and I'll actually, since it doesn't always seem to be as large as we'd like, the areas that we will be engaging in the negotiations as notified in this joint proposal with ACT and CUSD are Article 2, salary and wages, and Article 4, unit member health and welfare benefits. We received new rates, and so we need to sit down and have conversations around those. In addition, in our conversations, we propose to review existing extra duty pay and department chairperson stipends and negotiate related to identified updates. Article 6, leaves. We propose to review current contract language to ensure that it's clear to all parties and it reflects the intended needs of the parties. Article 11, unit member evaluation. We propose to review the agreed upon evaluation forms for positions identified as other than classroom teachers. As an example, an other than classroom teacher would be a school counselor. So groups that fall outside of those traditional settings. And then any and all appendices or MOUs related to these particular articles that are identified. So this is an opportunity for the public to be informed when we posted the agenda and to provide that comment, so then you can take action.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Are there any comments from the board? Okay. May I please receive a motion to approve?
Motion to approve public notice of the 2022-23 joint initial proposal regarding collective bargaining agreement negotiations between ACT and CUSD.
I'll second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nockbar.
Yes.
All right, agenda item 3G. This is the ratification of the MOU between CUSD and ACT regarding COVID leave.
So I'll keep my comments brief because the next two items are fairly similar. There is one update. Actually, the state extended its available leave through December 31st. It is, for clarification, not additional leave. It's just extending the available leave that was set to end on September 30th. However, the leave in the MOU will extend through the end of the school year, June 30th of 2023. And does require, if individuals are going to access that leave, that they need to be testing on a regular basis and minimally for the 2 weeks prior to needing the use of that leave. This particular one is between one of the associations within the district, ACT, and I'll get to the next one.
Great. If there aren't any comments, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the ratification of the MOU between CUSD and ACT regarding COVID leave.
I'll second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nockbar.
Yes.
Sounds like the mapping discussion took the steam out of everybody's sails. Okay. Agenda item 3H. This is ratification of the MOU between CUSD and CSCA Local 190 regarding COVID-19 leave.
So no additional information other than this is in relation to our classified employees within the district.
Got it. Motion to approve?
I'll make a
What do you know? Go ahead, Seabury.
I'll make a motion to approve the ratification of memorandum of understanding between CUSD and CSEA Local 190 regarding COVID-19 leave.
I'll second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nockbar.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Craig. I'd like to thank you, your entire HR department, for all the work on these MOUs. Thank you, Lisa and Bill, also for the coordination and the collaboration on that. Thank you both. All right, agenda item 3I. This is our fiscal year 2021-2022 unaudited actuals financial report. We will take action on this, and we will hear from Yvonne before we do so.
Yes, thank you. Pancho, can you bring up the PowerPoint? What he has up there is the summarized report that I take that great big huge SACS report and summarize it into nice graphs and charts and comparisons. So that is but tonight I also have a PowerPoint. And so tonight I have the pleasure of providing a brief overview of our financial activity over the past year. We officially closed the books for fiscal year 21-22 towards the end of August. The information provided tonight reflects financial information for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. It also establishes the basis for independent auditors to audit the district's financial accounts and compliance with state regulations. So here, this is a really nice, just quick, high-level view of the finances of the district. So in column F there, we have the unrestricted accounts, and in column G, the restricted, and then our combined is in column H. And just for comparison purposes, I also provided the adopted budget, which will change, of course. And so you have the beginning fund balance, you add the revenue, less your expenses, and your transfers out. That gives you your net increase or decrease. In this situation, on our unrestricted accounts, we had a $1.8 million decrease in our fund balance. But our restricted accounts, there was an increase, and that's because the revenue came in, but we won't be spending it until this fiscal year. And so in the combined, we had a $761,000 decrease in our fund balance, and so you can see that reflection on the ending fund balance there. This is a slide of all of our other funds that we have in the district. You've heard me say we have a whole bunch of unrestricted accounts that we track, but these are in their own separate fund. And so just provided a brief overview, same concept, with beginning fund balance, revenue, transfers, total resources, expenses transferring out, and then the ending fund balance for each of those accounts. So the big takeaway from this is that all of our other funds are in good shape. All right, this is a revenue source of the revenue sources of our unrestricted and restricted general fund. And so on the far right in blue, we have unrestricted, yellow is restricted, and then yellow and blue is green for the total general fund. And so once again, you can see here that this is a high level overview as well. And so on the bottom of this is a pullout of our property tax revenue. And so on the property tax revenue, you know that we're a community funded district, so the majority of our revenue is generated by local property tax. Of the $63.3 million we received in unrestricted dollars, 60.2% of it comes from our local property tax. And that's quite different than a district that is not community funded, which they receive the majority of their funding from the state. In 21-22, our property tax received increases, it increased by 4.42%. And I also provided a snapshot of the adopted budget of our property tax revenue that comes in. Overall, in the total general fund, we had $73.4 million in revenue. Right, this is the expenditures, an overview of our expenditures. I did not provide a comparison, but once again, your unrestricted accounts is in blue, the restricted accounts are in yellow, and then in green is the total of the two to make up the total general fund. This chart shows that salaries and benefits, you can see there in the middle that it makes up 86.01% as salaries and benefits, and 78.6% in our restricted accounts, and in the overall general fund, it's 84.23% of revenue. So this leaves about 15% to take care of all of our other expenditure needs that are listed there, books and supplies, services and other operating expenses, and so on and so forth. Transfers to other funds, those other funds that I just showed you in the previous slide, are not all self-sustaining. And so we do transfer funds from the general fund to support those accounts and to also support capital outlay needs. The contributions to the restricted resources are almost 7.8 million. And so those, I have another slide about that, so I'll hold off on talking about that. But the total transfers out to other funds was 11.9 million. So this is just a graph of how we spend our funds. And so the yellow, orange, and gray area, you can see that it's a huge part of our pie there, 85% approximately, and how the rest of those expenditures make up the rest of that chart. On the right hand or the left hand side of that is our revenues. So most of our revenues, as I just mentioned before, are made up from property tax. Right, I pulled out this. This is a detail of our contributions to special ed and routine repair. Routine repair is required by the state that we transfer money into it from the unrestricted account to the restricted account to maintain our buildings. And so 3% is required from the state, requires us to provide that amount of money to maintain our facilities. And so the contribution to special ed in last fiscal year was 5.7 million. You can see the year before it was 5 million, so we had a $625,000 increase in our contribution to special ed. And because our expenses went up, so our contribution to routine repair also increased. One of the things I wanted to point out here is there was a couple of things that I thought were worthy of mentioning, is that the child nutrition account actually improved in its financial outlook. Usually, and I have a couple of slides about that too, but I thought you can see it here that the actuals from the year before in the middle column there from 2021, it was $235,000 that we had to transfer because we were able to provide free meals to all students. That actually is beneficial to the district in our reimbursement that we get from the federal government. And so that contribution went down, or that transfer went down to $69,000. So that's pretty significant. The other significant thing that I'll point out here is our Child Development Center. It is very labor intensive, child development. It's all labor. And so it actually increased quite a bit, going from 348 to 737. And what you should take away from this is that we should really look at what we're doing in that program. And I do think it's a well-run program, by the way. So it just could be a nature of what we're doing. All right, because I was very pleased with what happened with food services, with our nutrition services or child nutrition, I provided a chart here showing pre-COVID, because you know when we hit COVID at the end of 2019, in the 18-19 school year, that was we entered COVID about March, if I remember, the end of March. We shut down schools for in-person instruction. Instruction still occurred. But you can see that we went from 329 for breakfast and 509 meals that we were serving on average per day. And in 21-22, the breakfast participation went up to 918 per day and 1,024 on average for lunch. So a whole bunch of kids are taking advantage of those free meals. That actually was a 179% increase if you put it into percentages, and for breakfast and 101% increase for lunch. So we're experiencing some challenges with that, and our director of nutrition services, Alexis Supancic, is doing everything she can to make sure that we're keeping up with that demand. We're seeing about the same for this year, in the couple of months that we've been in school. So this is a really nice graphical representation too of what happened with our nutrition services. So pre-COVID again, 18-19, the contribution from the transfer to that fund, I keep calling it it is a transfer, was $327,000 that we were transferring from the general fund. And why is this important? It's because it takes money straight from the general fund that could otherwise be used for students, but of course feeding students is also important. You can see in 1920, we about the same that we had to transfer out. 2021, we're seeing some improvement there because we're getting those reimbursements from the federal government with that increased participation. You experience economy of scale. So labor is high to run these programs and you receive economy of scale. And so in 21-22, you can see that the federal and state revenue, it's mostly federal, was 1.3 million, and the transfer to the nutrition fund was 69,000. Okay. So this, I provided key dates that are important to the board. One challenge in the business office is that at most months of the year, we are working on 3 budgets actively to close the books, to prepare for our audits, and preparing for a new year budget. Our next financial report will occur in December when we update all revenue and expense projections and provide a first interim report to the board. So that's a really important first report that goes to the board in the current fiscal year. Closing the books on a $74+ million budget is not an easy task. This work is accomplished under the direction of Diana Gonzalez, our Senior Director of Fiscal Services, and the entire Fiscal Services team, that the business operations of the district is successful. We don't do it alone, and it is through collective efforts that I am able to stand before you tonight and share the successful financial story of how we support learning for all students in our district.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. What a wonderful presentation. We appreciate the hard work that went into it. Are there any comments from the board in regards to Yvonne's presentation?
I have a question.
Oh.
I have just a comment. I like those little money bags up there. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're apples.
They're apples, but
they're not.
I'll take the money bags.
I thought they were bags of money.
So quick question. How long do you see this federal reimbursement happening for free meals through the child nutrition program?
Yeah, so the way that the state's doing it, California, my understanding is that there's one other state that has now adopted a similar plan. So the federal reimbursement is expected to continue, but the state is supplementing the difference of what we get from the federal reimbursement. They're basically, the state is paying for our kids that we don't get federal reimbursement for, which is your fully paid kids.
That's
your,
amazing.
your students that are not free, fall into the free and reduced, we get reimbursements for those. And for the kids that are paid, the state's picking up that difference.
And do you see that having an end time, or do you feel like that's going to continue?
You know, it's a good question. I think there's a real commitment at the state level, at the legislative level, to continue that program. But
yeah, so that's a
we
net
all
win
know
for
that
the
there's been
district,
cuts
though,
to schools.
Yeah, but that's a net win for us, which is great.
It
Okay,
is.
thank you.
Yes.
Great. If there aren't any more questions or comments for Yvonne, I'll go ahead and take a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021-2022 unaudited actuals financials report.
I'll go ahead and make that motion. Excellent report, by the way.
Thank you.
So the motion is to approve the report as presented.
Second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nachbar.
Yes.
Thank you. I know you're staying with us, Yvonne, but thank you to your entire fiscal services team for putting that together. I know it does not come quickly, so thank you. All right, agenda item 3J. This is resolution number 22-13. This is the GAN limit adoption. So we will take action on this one.
Yes. This is an annual resolution, and it's within the state law that we have to provide this resolution to the board. It's interesting. It's actually gotten some interest in this past year because of the high amount of state revenues. But it is an annual resolution, and so I'm requesting approval of this resolution.
Great, thank you. If there aren't any comments, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve resolution 22-23, the GAN limit adoption.
Second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nachbar.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much,
Thank
Yvonne.
you.
Thank you. Agenda item 3K, this is resolution number 22-14, and we'll have Jessica help us with this one. This is commemorating the 75th anniversary of Monterey Peninsula Community College District.
Thank you. So on September 10th, MPC held a kickoff event to celebrate their 75th anniversary for the entire year. This resolution was on display. We are adopting it after the fact, and we'll be sharing it with them, a signed copy with them after. We wanted to show our support and honor their significant milestone.
Excellent. Thank you. Jack, I know you had a comment on this one.
Yeah, I've participated in an MPC dual enrollment class and a summer MPC course, and I know that probably at least half of our students at the high school take either an MPC dual enrollment class or an MPC summer course, and so it's really great to have that resource. Because I know that students will plan their future schedules, beginning in middle school with the plan to take either summer or a dual enrollment course. So it's great that they've been doing it for so long, and congratulations to them.
Thank you. Go ahead, Carl.
Comment. Yes, I am a product of MPC myself, and I am in their Hall of Fame. So I would like to go ahead and make that motion if there are no other comments.
I would just like to thank MPC for their partnership. I know we were all very excited when we were able to adopt that dual enrollment program, and I think it's just done wonders. So thank you for your comments, Jack, and thanks for the partnership.
And I second his motion.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nockbar.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Agenda item 3L. This is our resolution number 22-15 commemorating October 9th through the 15th, 2022 as Week of the School Administrator.
Yes,
Jessica.
so the second full week in the month of October is always Week of the School Administrator, and we wanted to make sure that we got this on the agenda ahead of time. And I know some board members have asked how we will be celebrating. We will definitely be sharing this resolution. We're open to suggestions of how to continue celebrating our school administrators.
Bagels, definitely bagels.
Well,
I've heard bagels. Yes, yes, it is during break week.
Yes.
So that's the best way to celebrate.
They're pretty happy about that already. Yes.
Well, so that was my question. So will sites be celebrating will the individual sites be celebrating their administrators either the week before or the week after break?
Most do. Yeah.
Okay. I assumed so. All right. May I please receive a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve resolution number 22-15 commemorating October 9th through the 15th, 2022 as the Week of the School Administrator.
Second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nockbar.
Yes.
Okay, last but not least, agenda item 3M. This is resolution number 22-16, amending the Conflict of Interest Code.
So I'm actually going to request that we pull this item, if we can have a motion to pull this item, because we noticed an error that we would like to correct before the board takes action on it.
Thank you, Sharon. May I please receive a motion to pull agenda item 3M for a future board meeting?
I make a motion to pull the item 3M, resolution number 22-16, amending conflict of interest code.
I'll second.
Board President Sarah Hines.
Yes.
Board Clerk Tess Arthur.
Yes.
Board Member Anne Marie Rosen.
Yes.
Board Member Carl Palestrini.
Yes.
Board Member Seabury Nockbar.
Yes.
That is the end of our open session agenda this evening, and we do not have a closed session agenda tonight, so I will go ahead and...
Hey, Sarah. Sorry.
No.
I just
That's okay.
I just had a quick question. Is it possible to have an action item from this board meeting follow up on Jack's suggestion about
Measure Y.
Y1. Yeah.
Yes, I will make a note of it for agenda setting.
Okay, thank
For
you.
sure. Yes, thank you for the suggestion. And we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for attending.